Welcome back, everyone, to the 2020 Bona Cup. It's the second round here, presented by SB Unfurled. Bona commenter here on the call with SB Unfurled. What do you think about this second round? We got a great matchup for everybody right now between the number one seed, the 1970 Final Four squad, against the snub squad of 2016.
Yeah, we've already seen some great players in the first round, of course. You see Jalen Adams there. We saw him as 2016 beat 2012 in the first round. One of the guys, of course, that we haven't seen yet is Big Bob Lanier. He is going to be, I think, a force in this tournament, and a lot of people are hopefully excited to see him in first action because we haven't got to see the Dauber or this 1970 team that went to the Final Four and who was actually back in the Riley Center in that great ceremony this year.
Everyone has been waiting for the Dauber to make his appearance. He'll be actually on two teams because 68 will also be playing later on this week. But we're actually joined by one member of the 2016 team, Caleb McGuire, a former guard for the team. Caleb, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. I think this is an amazing show you guys are putting on, keeping us busy while a lot of us are still stuck in quarantine and giving us some Bona Nation to tune into. So thank you guys for everything you're doing. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It's going to be great to get your insight into this 2016 team. In their first round game, we had Danny Farrell on, who gave us some insight into the 2012 team. Two teams who had their seasons end very, very differently. So we did want to hear a lot about this 2016 year because this is one of our favorite teams of all time, really. Just so many great players and great games. So it'll be good to have you on and get a lot of your perspective on some of the maybe behind the scenes stuff and how this team gelled that year.
Absolutely, thank you. And like I always say, I'll go to my grave saying this team could have been one of the best tournament teams in March had we made it. So obviously a big what if, but it's awesome to see that what you guys got going on here still.
Yeah, I gotta apologize for calling you guys the snub squad. It's just really hard to come up with different names for the same team 12 different times. So I'm like, they're the snub squad.
Right.
As we are now back in the Butler gym with Idris Taki going through the starting lineup here. So what did you take away from the first game, and everybody's always asking us about realism. Like, how realistic did you think the team was, or how realistic wasn't it?
I've been showing your guys' work to everybody because I honestly I can't believe how accurate you guys made a lot of the players, the ratings. I know I was scrolling through some of the comments and looking at everybody's difference of opinion on who should be rated higher and different things, but when you really take the time to really look at what you guys have done with this and how much work you put into it, it's actually pretty amazing. And I mean, you see the 24 right there. I see myself. You did a pretty good job there too as well. So shout out to you guys for that one.
We're gonna get
Mark Schmidt. We cannot customize Mark Schmidt, so that's unfortunately something we couldn't do. But we could get an epic light show in Butler Gym somehow.
Yeah, we're getting to see the 1970 team starting lineup here. Paul Hoffman
rocking the specs. Look at that.
Found a way to get him have some specs on. Billy Calba.
Just a quick side note, Paul Hoffman also was my history teacher in high school. So
really?
As well.
That's awesome.
He started my love for St. Bonaventure.
Nice.
Oh, here he is, the star of the Hofstra homecoming of the 100-year celebration, Bubba Gary with his dance moves.
Matt Gant.
Coming through the handshake line.
And the best
We're waiting for him. And there he is, the only person that we didn't really have to create, Bob Lanier, because he's on the all-time Bucks team.
Yeah, he had a legit face scan, so I don't think he had the beard. Definitely not in 68. I don't even think in 70 he had the beard going, but we'll get to see a face scan at Big Bob. Unfortunately, Andrew's not in the game anymore. His was really good, but we're about to get started here. This should be a interesting showdown. Some mismatches, I think. So I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, Caleb, if you had to play this game in real life, like, how do you think you guys would match up with Bob Lanier and some of the other guys on this 70 squad that went to the Final Four?
Yeah, so I will admit, and no disrespect to anybody on the 2016 squad, our weakness was playing against other bigs. I think everybody knew that. I know in my time, the Dayton bigs gave us some trouble, the bigs over in Rhode Island. So I think Lanier would be a pretty tough matchup for us. But I think the grit and the heart of our team, might put up a fight. I've always been on my guys, but that's going to be a very tough matchup with Lanier down there in the post.
Of course, Bob Lanier, if you don't know much about him, I don't know why you're watching this, to be honest. He was a Hall of Famer, played for the Bucks and a couple other NBA teams, led us to the Final Four, unfortunately got injured in the Elite Eight against Villanova in 1970, which people think that's why the movie is called Unfinished Dreams. And honestly, this is kind of the Unfinished Dreams matchup between the snub squad and the team that had their Final Four run kind of cut short.
I was going to mention that. I think the two biggest what-ifs maybe in Bona history, if Big Bob hadn't gone down, and maybe if this 2016 team had gotten in, like Caleb said, they could have gone on a run. So these are the two big what-ifs, and we're going to have only one team in advance.
Well, there will be no what-ifs tonight here in Butler Gym as we are underway with the snub squad winning the opening tip against the Final Four team. Derek Woods now over to Posley. Posley had a really solid game, about 25 points against the 2012 A10 champs, as Jay Adams, who had 37, puts it in to get them on the scoreboard first.
Yeah, and as you notice, no three-point line in this game. So 2016, one of their greatest strengths, of course, with Adams and Posley, was hitting those threes. And they're not going to be able to do that today, which makes this task all the more daunting. Maybe they can attack Lanier, maybe try to get him in foul trouble.
Yeah, Matt Gant went into the paint there to get the first points for the 70 squad as a steal picked up by Paul Hoffman. Of course, if you're just watching this for the first time, we have some NBA rules, NBA-style timeouts, and unfortunately there are quarters, but it's still a 40-minute game, and 24-second shot clock as Lanier goes up and under on the rebound to put it in and get his first points of the game.
You're already seeing some trouble there inside.
Another steal. Paul Hoffman picks that one up again. He gets into the paint, but that one's taken back by Posley. Now, Caleb, how do you think you all would have done without a three-point line in 2016?
Yeah, that would have been a difficult task for us. That was a big strength for us, always trying to make sure we're shooting about 40% from three as a team on the year. I don't know what our final number was that year. I know it was somewhere around there, but Marcus and Jay obviously were a huge help with that three-point line. It would have been a little bit more difficult, obviously, with this roster without that line.
Matt Gant into the paint there, and another put in for him. 6-2 early on for the Final Four squad.
Yeah,
just 2 minutes into the game.
That 2016 team shot, I have these numbers up, 37% from three, so very good, 51st in the country, and they were actually good at defending the three too. So,
Coach Virtual Schmidt is not gonna like that travel on Dion Wright.
And speaking of the three ball in this team, Caleb, I wanted to ask you, because you see, if you look, Matt Mobley on the bench. He was practicing with you guys this whole season. Was he going back and forth against Posley in practice? Did you guys know after Posley graduates we're going to have a really solid replacement in Matt Mobley?
Yeah, so I think anybody who had an opportunity to be in those practices, or maybe they just were watching from, the Riley that walk in after getting a rap from the RC, would tell you the same. That squad, the practice squad of this team, we gave the starting five a run for their money sometimes, because if you remember, we had, once Courtney got healthy, we had Courtney and Matt Mobley both on the practice squad, as well as Nelson, who I believe is one of probably the more underrated point guards in Bona's history. Obviously, he didn't really ever have a chance to fully showcase what he had, but that practice squad would give the white team a run for their money. And yeah, there would be times in practice Matt Mobley got going and there was no stopping him. A lot of times we'd be scrimmaging or running the Navy drill, and when Mob got hot, there was no one stopping him. So we kind of knew what we had going into the next season. But I always say this too: if Courtney was healthy that year, this team, I think we would be in March, no problem. And that's another what I have to think about with this squad.
Timeout there for the 2016 squad, down 8-2 with 17 minutes and 10 seconds left in the first half. over to Posley, up on top with 7 on the shot clock. Tightly guarded by Paul Hoffman. He'll have to fire from deep. No good. Rebound for Bob Lanier. The Dauber already has 2 points.
Some people were commenting on how Tim Waterman was bringing the ball up for 77 as Gant misses and Lanier gets a rebound,
There's
goes
a
up
putback.
strong.
See, there's the mismatch that might happen down low with Jay Adams has to guard or box out against Big Bob there.
I can almost hear Schmidt screaming in my head on a play like that.
10-2 now for the 70 squad. Winner of this game will play either 1961 or the modern squad from 2021.
Yeah, there's Lanier bringing it up again. I've noticed, too, if big men get a defensive rebound, they just bring the ball up themselves. I don't know if that's a 2K thing, if that's like in the NBA, the bigs are so agile now that that's just what they do, but Lanier playing some point.
Lanier getting into the paint and backing down Dion Wright. 12-2 early on, a slow start for the snub squad, and another timeout for Coach Schmidt. Caleb, what do you think? What do you think Virtual Schmidt is telling the guys right now?
Yeah, he probably told us we didn't show up and we're not ready to play. He's probably telling us if we don't, I'll censor it, but if we don't get our act together, Lanier's going to have 40 and we're going to go home embarrassed. So that's probably a lot of what the talk is in the huddle right now.
And what 2016 would do, I remember like Denzel would come in and you would have Denzel and Dion in the front court. Both guys, I think, are more 4s, but not really true 5s. But you did get that athleticism, so maybe we'll get a little adjustment. Get Denzel and Dion in there underneath and see if we can annoy Lanier a little bit more.
I haven't seen either of them check in yet, as Derek Woods is still in the game with the other 4 that are really the whole starting 5, as Jay Adams, a little teardrop over Lanier off the glass and in a big bucket there to get them going.
Tough shot there. Teardrop off the glass over the outstretched arm of the Dauber.
Oh, and Dion Wright gets his hands in there and steals it. Oh, nearly stripped, but Dion gets it back. Adams now with it, 10 to go. He'll get the screen from Wright. Desperation shot does not fall. Bubba Gary with the rebound. Into Gary again on the give and go.
Caleb, what was your favorite game from this year? I mean, mine was in Dayton, I would say. That game was incredible. Do you have, I'm sure maybe that was everyone's favorite, but do you have another one that comes to mind?
That Dayton game, I think it was in February. Beating Dayton on the road, ranked. That's definitely one of the top games I would say that year. The other one, it might have been, it wasn't necessarily our game, but it was the final game of the season, I believe, in St. Louis when we were in the locker room. I think we were watching, and I hope I'm not wrong, obviously being live on air, but I think we were watching VCU in Dayton, and that was when we had clinched a share of the A-10 title. And I think I shared this with Chucky one time in an interview, but when we won to share that title in the locker room, we were watching the game finish up, and that was probably one of the first times I really seen Schmidt happy, truly happy. He was smiling and fist pumping, and that memory is always stuck with me because he's not one to show too much emotion, but when we clinched to share that title, that was a pretty good memory. All inside the locker room, watching it on the little TV, all sweaty after our game at St. Louis. So
there was a 3-way tie, wasn't there, between St. Joe's, you guys, and then was it VCU?
I think it was VCU and Dayton.
VCU was Dayton, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, Jay into the lane and slams it home. Sorry to interrupt there.
I was looking back. It was Dayton and VCU, so great memory. That game went to overtime, so.
Yeah, so actually I do recall now because we were all watching the locker room, and that was probably one of the most nerve-wracking things. The game goes into overtime. We're hoping. I can't remember who had to win for us to clinch, but we were rooting for one side pretty heavy. They had a lead and gave it up and sent the game into overtime, so we were all on the edge of our chairs inside that locker room.
Yeah.
Unfurled, you just mentioned it. Denzel Gregg comes in for Derek Woods in the backcourt after a after a goaltending call there, and Dion into the lane, and he is going to get the first foul on Bob Lanier.
Yeah, that Dayton game we mentioned, I remember that so well. That game started at noon, so for us fans, it was a long, long day of drinking and partying. By 8 p.m., it felt like it was like 2 in the morning, and we were like, oh my God, we didn't even eat dinner.
Yeah, that was definitely probably one of the top 2 or 3 games I remember being a part of. Playing over there in the arena at Dayton, I always tell people that's one of my favorite places to travel to play, because it's like the fans have the same energy they do in the Riley Center, but it's about twice the size. So
yeah,
that place rocking with 14,000. Props to them, because they put on a show with their fans too.
That's the arena this 2018 team that we'll see on Wednesday won our first tournament game since this 1970 team, I believe.
Ooh, look at that. Jay Adams was stuck on Bob Lanier and forces him to travel. I thought for sure Big Bob was going to take it into the hole there.
This 2016 team had to play against Andrew Nicholson last week, so they're getting an early dose of the 2 best bigs in Bona history.
Dion Wright puts that one in to cut the lead back to single digits for the 1970 Final Four squad. Matt Gant into the lane, out to Bob Lanier. Lanier, no good. Rebound for Denzel, who just checked in recently. Jay Adams looking to set something up.
Yeah, this team went 14-4 in conference. They were so great.
Oh, the behind the back on the pick and roll to Denzel Gregg, who gets his first basket in some beautiful fashion.
Great no-look behind the back pass by Adams. Unfortunately, of course, we know how the season ended. Caleb, I was wondering how you guys found out. Did you have to wait till the selection show, or did you find out before that you guys weren't getting in?
Yeah, so what's crazy is I don't know if you guys remember that selection show was the year that the bracket had leaked. So we actually had a selection party. We were believing and trusting we were going to be in there. We were all sitting in the Hall of Fame room watching the show, and we're obviously, monitoring Twitter and different social media, and the leak comes out. And I remember looking, and the leak had the first about 10 or 12 teams right, and I'm thinking, is this someone, they just created something to scare us? But then every team that started to be picked was right. So I think probably halfway through the show, we all left. Like, we couldn't even, sit in there anymore knowing we weren't going to be selected. So that was probably one of the low points of that season. Obviously, everything happens for a reason, but I remember that feeling that was a pretty tough feeling, knowing that we weren't going to make it. I think we had a meeting either the same night or the next day from Coach Schmidt, told us we'd be going into the NIT game, and we all know how that kind of went as well. So that was definitely a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, as much as the league bracket, I was kind of happy that happened if we weren't going to get in, because we didn't have to sit there and have our hearts pulled out one name at a time as it came out. It was kind of just ripping the Band-Aid off. But
I still watched it. I thought it was fake. I'm like, come on, this has got to be fake. It's got to be fake. It's got to be fake. Did you guys think it was fake, or did you think,
Yeah, I thought it was fake. I was like, the NCAA's been doing this for so long. The brackets never get leaked. They do a pretty good job of keeping it to themselves, but as we saw every other team get selected, was exactly what that leak was saying. I was like, let's be real.
Yeah, as every team came up and it was the same as it was on the leak, you kind of just, your heart fall out a little more every time, for sure.
I would say that feeling, and I don't know if you guys remember, one thing we kind of did to shoot ourselves in the foot this year is I can't remember what exactly it was. I think it was either right after a big win, or maybe we had a big win after, but we lost to LaSalle. About 4 conference losses, and that was one that probably really killed that resume.
All right, be honest with us. How terrible was it to play at LaSalle? Because I hate every time we play there. I've never even been there.
I went to high school at a small high school about 30 minutes away from Bonaventure, and I played in better gyms in that bracket. I'm sorry, but that place is terrible.
When I wrote our preview, I equated it to like a Catholic school gym where there's like a stage for like Christmas plays and stuff behind one of the baskets.
I actually read that, and that's exactly what it feels like. So I played in a gym called Immaculate Conception School in Marshall, New York, and it felt the exact same way that they played LaSalle.
Yeah, we had a LaSalle guy on before the A-10 game. Lanier goes up puts another one in. 70's up
26 to 15 as we take our first under 10 time out. It's been all Final Four squad early on. Jay Adams with 8 points, but an 11-point deficit for the snub team.
Yeah, that LaSalle Jim, he said that if a ball went out of bounds the right angle, it could go into a bathroom, and you could just be going to the bathroom during a LaSalle game.
The really
game ball.
The YMCA, and they're, of course, they're sponsored by Under Armour, which at the time wasn't one of the best basketball sponsors. So their balls are funny, and Schmidt used to get a little bit upset when we were blaming the balls, but everything about that gym and the equipment, it wasn't all fit for what I thought.
Does it smell like chlorine? Because I've heard it smells like chlorine.
I can't remember the smell particularly, but I remember the feeling in there and the silence and hearing the ball drop every dribble, hearing every dribble, and just a lot different than playing the Riley, we'll say that.
I think there was a picture of the visiting locker room that came out on Twitter from last year, and it looks just like a tiny middle school locker room, too.
I don't know if that's intentional or what, but it definitely wasn't anything inviting.
Yeah, that game was right before that Dayton game, so you guys bounced back with that win against Dayton after that LaSalle loss.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew it was around the time, but I couldn't remember if we had beaten Dayton right before and then fell off or came back and beat Dayton.
Caputo in the game.
Yeah, 26-17 as Nelson Caputo checks in for his first action. He's actually on both teams, 2016 and 2018. Just like Bob Lanier, 2 teams for him.
If we look back, I think Nelson started off the year pretty hot. Obviously, he had that little stint where he had to sit out a few games, but he was shooting, if you look, I think he was shooting over 40% the first 9 games from 3, and he was really hot in his freshman season. So, like I always say, he's probably one of the most underrated guards that we've had because he never, having played behind Jay and Matt was probably a little difficult, but
yeah. Yeah, we know Schmidt doesn't give much of a rest to those top guys. Right. He expects guys like Jay and Lofton as well, and Caputo's senior year to go maybe 40 minutes the full game.
Right.
Lanier being tightly guarded by Dion Wright, but he'll nail the turnaround jumper. 12 points in 12 minutes for the Dauber already.
And Caleb, another thing I was going to ask you about, you mentioned that NIT game against Wagner at home. And people after that were like, oh, Caputo almost had another good one.
That's big. A second foul for Bob Lanier.
Yeah, even bigger.
Nelson Caputo getting into the lane and drawing that second foul. Of course, we said there are some NBA rules, but one NBA rule that's not in effect is the fouls. We have 5 fouls when you foul out.
But after that Wagner game, people were like, well, they lost to Wagner. They shouldn't have been in the tournament. And what I was saying to people is 1 seeds in the NIT lose quite a bit because they just can't get up for those games. Like, they expected to be in the NCAA tournament. The crushing, feeling of not being in the tournament when you think you should have been in, I'm sure plays a factor going into a game like that. So,
yeah, I would say.
Is that true? Like,
I think you nailed it because I remember there's an aura you feel at a home game in the Riley Center, and I know you guys are aware of it. Anybody who's attended a game, when you're even in the locker room before you come out, the student section's bleachers is right on the wall of our locker room, so you hear that place jumping from 40 minutes before the game. And I think even the fans had a little bit, like, they were happy to see us play there, but even the fans were a little down. Obviously, our team was down, and I think you nailed it exactly right. It wasn't even like playing a game at home there. It was so hard to get up for that game, expecting that you'd be in the tournament in March. So I think that obviously shows in our play. But you nailed it. It was exactly that. It was just tough to get up for that game. It just didn't even really feel like a game that we wanted to be part of. Looking back, it would have been fun to play a couple more games, but I think the team, like you said, nailed it around the head. It was kind of hard to get up for that game, and props to Wagner. They played a good game that day too.
Yeah, it was such a weird feeling. I remember fans just chanting, "We got snubbed." It felt more like the fans were showing up to show support for the team and the guys, and express maybe some of their anger as well. But winning that game, I don't even know if it really matters much because we just
nice block there for Jordan Tyson. Sorry,
expected this team to be making a run in the NCAA tournament.
Right, I remember walking on the court and just something as little as seeing the NIT sticker on the floor. It was like, man, this is where we're at, and I think that kind of just sums up the whole overall feeling of that day.
Yeah.
Bob Lanier backing down. Caputo spins into the lane and gets it off the glass and in. Lanier with 2 fouls, but 14 points so far.
Yeah, we're struggling without that 3-point line. You know, usually after the first one goes down, that's when we would start picking up our game, but I don't know what's going to get us going here.
Dion Wright puts it back in to get the lead within 10. Caleb, are there any other great memories that we haven't touched on yet that's maybe not something on the court, but something fun off the court? Like, I know we've asked Oshun about messing with Coach Schmidt sometimes. What's one of the most fun memories you remember off the court?
So I'll tell one story. My first summer.
You can tell us exactly.
Yeah,
Jordan Tyson with a slam and a timeout for the 70 squad.
I remember, I guess just overall, the whole feeling of the team is pretty cool because my first summer there, I remember Schmidt, I can't remember what holiday it was, but we're over there the whole summer. It might have been Memorial Day or the 4th of July, and he had the whole team to his house, and I think that's something Schmidt and the coaches do every year. We watch the fireworks there on the golf course, so that's always something that I think a lot of the players look forward to because, like I always say, I know Schmidt gets a lot of props for being the coach he is, but off the court, that guy really looks out for everybody on the team. He's just kind of a real good guy and always treating all of his players with the utmost respect. So as good as he is off the court as a coach, he's just an amazing person as well. But my first memory actually as a part of Bona's team was the first workout with Coach Fisk on the turf. And I remember questioning, is this really do I love basketball this much? I think I threw up 2 or 3 times the first workout, and I was really definitely questioning it, but obviously it all paid off.
Fisk will do that. T.S. Lanier misses the jumper there. Yeah. How did you see the school kind of change over your time there? Because, I mean, there wasn't always that turf field. I think you might have been one of the first to use the turf field that summer.
Yeah, I would say that Fisk definitely was one of the people who took advantage of it the most in the summers. We were either on the turf, if we weren't in the weight room, and if we weren't in the weight room, we were getting a workout done in the pool. So those turf days I was dreading because you know that the rubber underneath makes it about 10 to 15 degrees hotter than it already is. So the worst was carrying those 45-pound plates up and down the hill to get to the turf was part of the workout itself before it even started.
Of course it was.
Little comeback
Jay Adams
here.
now with 10 points as the 2016 squad cuts it to 8.
Back within single digits.
Oh, a nice block there for Denzel Gregg. He stayed in the game for a while off the bench. Posley over into Adams, who gets it off the glass and in, and now it's a 6-point game. They've cut the lead almost about 8 or 10 points.
Tough to come back against a team like this without the 3-point line. So, got to get out in transition. Maybe try to out hustle, get out moving, get the guys running on a fast break to kind of make up for some of this lack. Because you can't score in a hurry in this game.
Shot clock winding down, and that'll be a shot clock violation. A great defensive performance on that possession for the 2016 squad as Derek Woods and Dion Wright will check back in. How did you think your defense was in 2016, Caleb? Because that seems like it's been a pretty big focus for Schmidt lately, is having strong defensive performances.
Yeah, I think as a basketball player, I really started to buy into the defensive mentality when I got to Bona because it was preached so heavily. We would have obviously the morning practices where we were just kind of walking through a lot of our stuff, but every morning we're starting with that pack line defense. And then we spent, I don't know if you guys know anything about Coach Schmidt practices, but 3 hours is a light day. We spent plenty of hours in practice just focusing on strictly defense, and obviously it pays. I think this year our defense really dictated what we were going to do, so if we got out, kind of like this game, if we got out in a little slump.
Oh, Taki gets the bucket and the foul on Calbaugh to possibly cut this to a 3-point game. Sorry, Caleb.
No, you're fine. Say we're making a little push for a comeback here, but yeah, if our defense wasn't going, it was going to be tough for us to win the game, and it was usually right off the bat after that first media timeout or the first timeout that Schmidt would call because we let up 10 points in the first couple minutes. We either got right back on track there or it was going to be a long day for us, and our defense dictated all of that. So when I was younger, as a basketball player, it's the best defense is scoring more points than the other team and having a better offense, but that mentality definitely changed in my years at St. Bonaventure.
Calbaugh no good on the shot there as they get out. Taki, jumper misses, no good.
You see LaDarian Griffin on the bench for this 2016 team. He was a freshman, didn't really play, but I remember by 2018, they were running that 1-3-1 zone with Griffin at the top. Just so active, so long.
He and Dion have been the best at that 1-3-1.
Yeah, you guys were mainly man, but
Dion makes the bucket there to cut it to a one-possession game.
2-point gamer.
Going back to Ladarian, I would say that has to be, and I don't know too much about obviously the history before my time, but one of the most improved players that's ever come through the program because, like you said, he was probably getting the same minutes I was getting my first year there. But that guy worked, and obviously he's just pure athleticism. So when he started developing a feel for the game at that level, started understanding the offense, everything else just followed, and you saw that in his sophomore, junior, and senior season.
Oh, what a move by Posley, but he can't get the layup to fall and tie the game with 2:14 left.
Yeah, if you keep up.
And Lanier into the lane, he puts it in.
Sorry about that. If you keep up with the overall, you see he's developed quite a jump shot over in Finland, I believe. So if you check out his highlights, you see he's really still expanding his game.
He is. He's developed down a three-point shot, and that's one of the things we were looking forward to because he was going to be on that TBT team. So we'll have to wait another year and see. He develops even more over the next year playing pro, hopefully.
Yeah, that's another.
Ooh, Posley, nice little floater.
That TBT snub, so hopefully we get back in there eventually.
36-34, 138 left, and a timeout for Coach Weiss and the Final Four squad, up by about 14 or 15 at one point. Now only lead by 2. How do you think you guys would do playing in Butler Gym, Caleb?
That would be a tough one. I know Jay used to get some of his workouts in there, so maybe he would be comfortable. But the rest of us, I don't know, because that's a whole different feel. I remember the first time I walked in there, I didn't even know that gym existed. I used to go to basketball camp at Bona actually, and I think I was probably like, I don't know, I had to be maybe middle school. And I walked into that gym, and no middle school kid wants to play there. We want to play in the big Riley Center or the Richter, so that was always the gym you didn't want to play in. But I respect it for its history, obviously.
Yeah, I played at Olean High, so I grew up in Olean, and our first try when we went down to Bonas to play was to go to Butler. Sometimes it would be locked, and we would have to play under Francis. I don't even think there's a gym there still.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Would you rather play in, Caleb, would you rather play in Butler or in the parking lot in between the Richter and Riley Center?
So in my camper days, I still wanted to be in Butler because I just love the indoors. But yeah, I'd probably still go with Butler. You know, it does have a sound history, but they don't have the track around there in this game. But you know, in real Butler, the track is sometimes a little barrier in the corner. I remember being a little worried when I was shooting some shots in the corner of Butler Gym.
We may not have a track in this game, but we do have a T-shirt cannon in Butler Gym.
Right.
Are we pumping in fan noise for this, or is that the fans up on the track that you can't see? Because you do hear fans today.
I think it's like the Premier League games where you have 2 different streams, guys. You guys either listen to one with fans or one without fans. 90 seconds left. 70 squad now up 38-34 with 124 to play. Winner takes on either the 61 team or the modern squad, the 2020-2021 team.
So if 2016 doesn't win this whole thing, Caleb, who are you rooting for? Who do you think has the best shot to take down?
Hopefully a nice pump fake there.
I gotta go with the team, the 1970 squad we're watching against us right now. I think they obviously might be the favorites in this tournament. So if it's not us, I'm rooting for them. But I'll also pull a little bit for the modern guys. I like to keep up with the teams that are coming in. So I'm excited for this year's team to see what they do. So I'll be pulling for them a little bit in this tournament as well.
You also have some teammates on the 2018 squad, too. As Dion Wright will tie it up with 42 seconds of pulling off a big comeback here for the 2016 team.
This was the year as well that Dion averaged.
Oh, and Derek Woods keeps it in bounds. Big hustle play there for the man who eventually transferred to Delaware. As we got 24 seconds left.
Dion Wright had the same numbers pretty much as the Atlantic 10.
Posley into the lane. And he's got it for the... That's not the first lead of the game. It's their first lead since it was probably like 2-0.
Yeah, I don't remember who scored first, but...
They did, actually. So this is the second lead of their game. Lanier into the lane. Tightly guarded by Derek Woods. Out in transition, 2 seconds left. Posley with a great move to the basket, lays it in, 42-38, and that'll do it for the first half. After a big deficit for the 2016 Snub Squad, they have stormed back to take the lead from Bob Lanier and the 1970 Final Four squad. Let's go ahead to have the SB Unfurled and Friends halftime show. So Caleb, what did you make of the first half that we saw here?
Yeah, I think we made a pretty good run to come back from that. It was tough to do without the 3-point line, so I'm impressed that we were able to come back and take the lead, so hopefully that carries over in the second half.
Little spark off the bench from Denzel, even Nelly Caputo in there. As you see Jalen Adams dunking past Bob Lanier, started to get out in transition and run a little bit, and that helped a lot instead of slowing it down, having to battle the dauber on these half-court sets.
Take a look at the shots. The 2016 squad shooting over 50%, but Bob Lanier with 18 points already.
Yeah, we knew we were going to have trouble shutting that guy down, but hopefully if we let him get his, and we'll control the rest of the game.
Before we go to the bicycle, man, let's take a look at these first half stats. Yep, Bob Lanier already with a double-double. Not a surprise there. But really been quiet from everybody else. Matt Gant with 12, but everybody else, Bubba Gary with 6, Cole with 2, and then everybody else is scoreless. A little more even distribution of the points here. Jay with 12, Dion with 11, Posley with 10, 3 guys already in double figures. Caputo also gave some good minutes off the bench there. Finally, we'll take one look at the shot chart. Of course, no 3-point line, so a lot of the shots are going to be inside today.
Adams getting to the rim and finishing. Look at, he hasn't missed one shot around the rim there.
He has not been afraid of Bob Lanier either on offense or defense.
And this is sophomore Adams as well.
It's true, he's wearing the 10. He'll be wearing 3 on Wednesday. So we look at Bob Lanier also getting plenty at the rim. But like we said, not much scoring. Only 8 points outside of Bob Lanier and Matt Gant for the 70 squad. Of course, no 3-pointers once again. Looking down this stat sheet. The rebounds, actually, it looks like the 2016 squad has a 2-rebound advantage. That's almost as surprising as the score.
It is. You think Bob Lanier, he has, doesn't he have 10 or 12 rebounds already, but these athletic wings and even a guy like Taki is a great rebounding guard. So guys like Denzel, Dion was a phenomenal rebounder, and Taki using their hops, using their athleticism, playing scrappy. It was a great first half. For a while, it looked like 1970 might blow this team out, but they came back. They have a 4-point lead now.
Caleb, we're going to let you go enjoy the second half, but one final thing for us. What do you think is going to be the key in the second half to get you guys to hold on to this comeback win?
Yeah, I think we got to do what we did the last 4 minutes there. If we control the boards and we get out in transition, like you said, without that 3-point line, I think we'll be in good shape. Obviously, shooting 56%. If we keep that up, hopefully we'll take this one away.
All right, Caleb, thank you so much for joining us. Once again, Caleb McGuire from the 2016 team. Go ahead and enjoy your virtual self and all your other virtual teammates, and hopefully they can pull off this win for you and a huge upset over the 1 seed if this holds on.
Thank you, guys. This is amazing. Like I said, it's a great tournament you guys are putting on, so I appreciate you guys for that. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Caleb.
And Caleb can enjoy Bicycle Man, who has made his return to Butler Gym. Bob Lanier has been riding this team into a good lead in the first half with 18 points, but they've fallen apart, lost a 13-point lead, and now trail by 4 in the second half.
Big Bob going to bring the ball up here for 1970. He probably never did that in his Bona career, but
he's done that several times tonight, and nothing we can do. Oh, and that's why Taki with the steal, but it's going to get into Jay, and Jay Adams off the glass and in. A 19-point swing for the Snub Squad against the Final Four team.
surprising turnaround. I thought it was going to be really tough for them to battle back and get in this game at all, but they had a lead by halftime. Now they're up 6 already.
I felt bad for Caleb at first because I'm like, oh no, we had him on, and within like the first 5 minutes, it's like a 10-point deficit.
Yeah.
There's a big shot there. I was like, oh no, we didn't just bring you on to have you talk over your team losing. So fortunately, they made this a really good game now.
They got the players to do it. Of course, no three-point line like we've been talking about, but they've been, especially Adams, just getting to the rack and finishing strong, and they've been really efficient at the rim too.
And without the three-point line, a 13-point lead is like a 19-point lead. Oh, long shot there with the shot clock winding down. Misses for Adams. Matt Gant, who had a good first half. Pretty much the only other good first half for the 70 squad other than Lanier. Being tightly guarded by Jay. Jay nearly strips him, does not work though. He'll go around Jay, no good, but Bob Lanier. There he is, 20 points with another big rebound for the Dauber.
Dion was on Bob. It looked like he came over to help on Gant, and that left Bob wide open to clean up that miss and lay it in for the easy 2.
44-42. The winner of this game will play either the 1961 Sweet 16 team or the Modern squad from 2021.
People say Matt Gant used to be able to vertical leap and grab a dollar bill off the top of the backboard.
Oh, wow. Taki gets his own rebound, and he puts it back in. 55% shooting still for the Bonnies, and the Brown Indians with 46%. Both teams shooting really well. This is definitely, of our 3 games without the three-point line, the highest scoring of those 3 games. As Calbaugh puts it off the glass and in, and just increasing that field goal percentage. They keep showing it, nearly 50% for both teams. I guess when you can't shoot threes, you just got to make all your twos.
Yeah.
Both teams are getting pretty efficient shots, though. That one's not very efficient, and Taki will miss as the Dauber gets another board. Matt Gant now, tightly guarded again by Jay. Gant into the lane, and he is stripped by Adams, who will get it out to Dion Wright. Taking it up against Calbaugh, or Hoffman, no good. Gant gets it out in the fast break and puts it in to tie the game again.
With how good these teams have been shooting, especially at the rim, and how good Dion used to be at those little layups. Surprised he missed that one with only Calbaugh on him there underneath. And 1970 able to get back quick in transition, get Gant a quick bucket to tie the game.
Do you have any 1970 music to fire these guys up?
We've been playing it all day.
Derek Woods in.
Little, I think there was some Mungo Jerry, the greatest mutton chops of all time. Some Jackson 5. We'll have maybe some Jimi Hendrix.
Shot there doesn't fall. Dion Wright with the rebound. I saw Jay Adams go over to help double Lanier. That might be a strategy that virtual Coach Schmidt will use in the second half, as the 2016 squad will call a timeout after a foul by Calbaugh there.
Lola. Yeah, I mean, if without the three-point line, you can kind of collapse a little bit easier and not have to worry about a kick out for a three-pointer. So definitely changes your entire defensive strategy. You're able to send guards in there on Lanier. As you see, Larry Weesey having some trouble keeping his entire body intact there.
He is breaking through the time-space continuum. He also coached 68, right?
Yeah, Larry Weesey will be in this game twice.
But we saw that problem with Schmidt in the first round. He was turned transparent, so I think they're you can't have too many clones of coaches.
Apparently not.
Hasn't happened to the players though. We haven't seen like Jay Adams or
I guess
anybody
when
disappear.
you zoom in that far on these virtual people, you kind of see through them. Maybe on PS5 that'll be taken care of.
Yeah, we'll have that squared away. 48-46, shot clock winding down. Posley, shot doesn't fall. Matt Gant over to Calbaugh into the lane. He goes up against Derek Woods and doesn't get it to fall. Derek Woods has had 2 fairly solid games going up against Nicholson and Lanier, the 2 best big men in Bona history.
Yeah, he has. He's been – those are tall tasks.
And the announcer's jinx as he picks up his second foul there. But other than that, I mean, like we were just saying, yeah, he's had 2 tough matchups with Nicholson and now Lanier.
Especially, I mean, with the three-point line in Nicholson, he developed that three-point shot. Just almost impossible to guard for his senior year, able to step out and hit the long threes. And then, I mean, every facet of his game was phenomenal by the time he was a senior.
First free throw falls for Gant as Jordan Tyson and Denzel Gregg will check back in. Woods and Taki will take a rest. Second shot is good, and we have another tie ball game after a 13-point first half lead for the 1970 Final Four squad. The 2016 squad stormed back to take a 4-point halftime lead. And now we have a tie game once again as Posley misses a couple short shots there.
Like the Dauber might have gotten away with his 3rd foul there. It looked like Posley got some contact on that second shot.
Almost a moving screen there for the Dauber as now he's got the ball against Jordan Tyson, but Tyson will pick up the foul. They're letting Big Bob play in Butler.
You gotta let him play.
We hear about the Jordan rules or LeBron getting special treatment. I wonder if Lanier is getting that from this in this Bona Cup.
See all these 1970 players with the old Chuck Taylor Converse shoes.
Shoot 2.
What was Big Bob's size? 20, 22, 28,
I was going to
30?
ask you that. I don't know it off the top of my head, but the shoes are in the Riley Center trophy case.
Yeah, there's a signed Bob Lanier shoe.
Is size 22. Size 22. That is literally double the size of my shoe. I'm an 11.
Yeah, and Lanier in this game because he's on the all-time Pistons team, I believe.
Is it Pistons or Bucks?
I
thought it was Bucks. I assumed it was Bucks. I might be wrong. I haven't looked.
I think he's on the all-time Pistons team. I'll have to look, but yeah, because they have the 1970 Bucks in 2K. Wright puts it in, ties it up again. Wright, a phenomenal game too.
Of course, with only 2-pointers and free throws, a 2-point game will turn back into a tie pretty quickly and pretty often. Not a lot of odd numbers. 50 apiece, 13:52 left to go. Shot misses, but the Dauber gets it back and puts it in.
Yeah, Bob Lanier on the all-time Pistons, and he is a 93 on that all-time Pistons team. The only player higher than him, Isaiah Thomas. So
I think I got mixed up because he got. Sorry, I think I got him mixed up because he got drafted by the Bucks.
Right.
Once again, after Lanier's put in, Jay went back with a layup of his own, and Lanier getting the best of Jordan Tyson and getting another putback. 26 points for the Dauber. Half of the points that 2016 has scored.
What do you put the over-under at this point for points for the Dauber?
And 26 now as Dion Wright ties it back up once again. 2-point lead, tie. 2-point lead, tie. Back and forth. He's got 26 now at this rate. I would put it at 38. 37 and a half,
over
maybe.
on that.
38 and a half then, okay. You think he can put up 40? That would be the highest because Jay had 37 against the 2012 squad.
The way this is going, I think he could.
Calbaugh can't make the shot there. Posley out in transition, but he'll pull it back to run a set play in half court. Or he'll just take it himself into the lane and make the running layup. 12 points for Posley. He had 25, so he's a little slower than the last game, but he still had a pretty solid game as Coach Weesey and the 70 Final Four team want a timeout.
Sugar Sugar by the Archies. A little hit from 1969.
Nice. I was gonna say this is actually a nice team because they started the season in 1969.
Absolutely. Such great music to choose from in the late 60s, early 70s.
I mean, a lot of this music is just the fallout from Woodstock, really.
Yeah.
Cheerleaders seem to love it, although, like we mentioned before, I don't think those are 1970 cheerleader uniforms.
No, those are the modern day uniforms for sure.
56-54, the Snub Squad with a 2-point lead, trailed by 13 in the first half. Winner of this game will play the 61 Sweet 16 team or the 2021 Modern Squad. Bob Lanier on the screen gets Calbaugh free for the jumper at the elbow to tie this game once again. The 1970 team is shooting 50% exactly so far in the second half.
Yeah, we're getting our first look, of course, at Bob Lanier, our top-rated player in this tournament at 95. Tomorrow, we'll have our first look at the second highest-rated player, Tom Stitt. He's at 94.
Jumper there, no good for Jay, but Greg with the putback, and 2016 gets the lead back. Hoffman into Lanier. Oh, and a swat by Jordan Tyson. That Tyson swat was tender as Posley into the lane. Pump fake. Little shot because could not fall. Of course, Jordan Tyson, another transfer big man. He ended up going to Georgia State after the season as Hoffman, with his spectacles, puts it in. Bonnie's bench has been outscoring the Brown Indians bench by 7. Of course, when we have these multi-era games, the name switch happened around 92, so we can actually call them two different names, although the latter name is not preferential to say the least.
No.
No.
Speaking of Hoffman, when you create players in this game, you can't add glasses or anything, so we had to go back. We scoured the rosters to find someone, an old player with glasses, who also kind of looks like Paul Hoffman. So it worked out.
Another putback on a rebound for Bob Lanier. Who did you use? Because I remember I was looking at Kurt Rambis as Jay. Hold on, Jay. 4 seconds before our under 10 timeout. He gets into the lane against the Dauber, doesn't go. Greg though with a putback off the glass. And we're going to have to go to the monitor to see if Greg got the putback in.
Our first official review of the Bona Cup. Let's take a look at this.
We almost had one, I believe, in the 2016-2012 game, didn't we? Or was that another
I think
game?
It was PvP maybe at the end of the half.
Yes, you are right. It was that one. We see, did Denzel get it off in time?
I think he did.
Of course, we go back to our replay center that is in Murphy.
They're going to count it, it looks like.
And they will count it. And after a dominant first part of the first half for the 70 squad and a storm back by the 2016 team, we are tied at 60 with 10 minutes left.
Caputo no match down low for the Dauber there. Giving up a little bit of a size advantage.
So we were talking about Paul Hoffman and how we created him. I was thinking of players that have spectacles, and the only one I could really think of was Paul Hoffman that they had in the game. Not Paul Hoffman, I'm sorry, Kurt Rambis.
Yeah, well, I was going to leave it up to if anyone watching wanted to guess at who it is. If you are familiar with 70s NBA basketball, you probably recognize him. He also got clotheslined by Bill Laimbeer, famously, but yes, it is Kurt Rambis.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anybody else. I was actually trying to create a Dr. Fauci, and I wanted him to have glasses. So I was like, Kurt Rambis, maybe, but he didn't look enough like him.
It wouldn't have felt
lane
right.
Jumper.
It wouldn't have felt right to have Hoffman out there, just a generic-looking player with no glasses. So we had to find a way to have him rock the spectacles.
It works though. I like it. And the give and go to Lanier. Lanier puts it in. And And once again, we keep going back and forth. Both teams keep trading off a 2-point lead and keep getting tied again.
No matter what happens, 2016 putting up a phenomenal effort for the first 30 minutes.
Could have easily packed it in after a tough matchup with Andrew Nicholson and a 13-point early deficit.
Sticking it to Joe Castiglione today.
Yeah. Layup there misses as Hoffman gets out in the fast break. No good, and Denzel Gregg with the rebound. Taki trying to use the baseline to his advantage. He'll do a turnaround little 5-foot jumper, and it works. Both teams shooting still around 50% with 8 minutes and 33 seconds to go. Oh, Bubba Gary is back, dancing his way to the hole. That is still an incredible gif. I love of Bubba Gary.
Oh yeah, he's still got it, man. He shows up to the Riley Center now and then. And he's just a great Bonnie.
If anybody knows Bubba Gary and how to get in touch with him, we want him on.
Absolutely.
Win or lose, we want him on, even if 70 gets knocked off. Paul Hoffman gives it off to Calbaugh with 13 on the shot clock. He'll spin it to the lane. Tough defense by Adams, who gets the rebound. Adams along the baseline to Gregg. Oh, almost turns it over. Dion Wright picks it up. Taki tightly guarded by Calbaugh.
Lanier chasing Adams around. Got a mismatch there.
We have seen those two guard each other a lot tonight, surprisingly. Denzel Gregg, the tough jumper from the block, does not fall. Lanier now out. Oh, out to Gary, no good. Another rebound for Bob Lanier, and guess what? Another basket for Bob Lanier.
No one was underneath there when Gary shot that. You can tell, even if that doesn't go in, this is probably going to be 2 points for 70. Lanier was wide open under the basket. No one to challenge him. And they got a 2-point lead in the timeout.
Timeout, yeah. I said the over-under for Lanier is 38.5. That would be the highest scoring performance so far in the Bona Cup. What does he have? I think he has 32 now, right?
Yeah, we saw, did you say Adams had 37?
Adams had 37 against 2012, yeah.
But that game, I mean, they scored 102 points, which 2012 would have never given up 102 points. But in a regularly sanctioned game, I like to say this is kind of halfway between pickup and a sanctioned game. We want to let them play. We want some free movement, but 37 out of 102 is different than 37 out of 66. Lanier is almost over half their points.
We have the shorter shot clock, so it's going to result in more possessions.
Right.
And more points as Jay Adams off the glass and in, and we just keep going back and forth. 18 points for Jay so far tonight, and 16 for him in the paint. Clearly this has had an effect, not having the three-point shot, because Jay is not known for points in the paint. I feel like I never see a points in the paint stat for Adams.
No,
shot there doesn't fall.
Or Posley, I mean, these guys, you kind of have to rewire your entire game and say, why would I shoot from this deep when I can take it to the rack and get the same number of points? Probably tough to just change your game at the drop of a hat like that, but Adams and Posley just doing a phenomenal job at the rim, getting into the lane.
You got to give Posley credit there, right as you said it. He had the give and go, or the cut into the basket, as there was a give and go to Matt Gant, who puts it in. 18 points for Gant. .557 left to go, tied at 68. The winner will go out of bounds, but that will stay with the 2016 squad. Ooh.
Like Adams fell on Calbaugh's leg. If he was wearing normal shoes, his leg would have been snapped in half, but he has Converse on, and they protected him. He's right back out there running at full speed.
And there he is getting into the lane. Pump fake against Taki, but he gives it off to Matt Gant, who will get fouled by Dion Wright. Of course, the winner of this game will play either the 1961 Sweet 16 squad or the 2020-2021 Modern squad, who defeated the 77 NIT champs.
No matter what happens here or tomorrow, it's going to be a really good matchup, I think, in that Final Four in this Butler Regional. We'll, of course, be in the Riley Center for the Final Four, though.
That's true. This is one of the final games in Butler Gym. Like you mentioned, the winner will play in the Chinese Riley Center. It looks just like the Riley Center, although it's co-hosted by the Shanghai Bears.
Hey, they're paying us for that ad space. We can't say no to that. It's huge ad space behind the basket.
And neither can the NBA. That was kind of the issue at the beginning of the season too. as Gant makes both free throws, 20 points for him on the night, as 70 once again with the lead, now with 70 points for 70.
It would be cool to see the modern team against 1970 because they all, well, not all of them, but most of them met each other this past season when 1970 came back for that game against Hofstra.
Oh, active defense there by Calbaugh, jumping into the passing lane, and Hoffman picks it up. 5 minutes and 13 seconds to go here. Hoffman now being tightly guarded by Posley into Lanier. Mismatch against Adams, and he will put it in. That's our first 4-point lead in quite a while for either team.
Yeah, another mismatch underneath, switching on those screens, and Adams gets caught on the block with Big Bob.
Oh, he finds Posley right at the bucket, and Posley, that seems like it's his shot tonight, just laying it right in. 16 points for him.
6 assists as well. Posley moving the ball, shooting at a high rate. That big three, Dion, Posley, and Adams playing excellent tonight.
Another mismatch there as Bob Lanier puts it in. He's not at 38 yet. He's going to be very soon.
Need a defensive adjustment underneath. You got to get Dion or Denzel down there against Bob. Maybe both of them.
And there's Lanier with a steal. That's about the only thing he hadn't done yet tonight. He takes it himself into the bucket, and the foul. Jay Adams is caught in a tough position, and there it is, 38 points. So the over is going to hit if he hits this layup.
And the now is our top scoring performer of the Bona Cup so far. 38 sets the record after 5 games, I believe.
Yeah, it is, because Jay Adams had 37 in the win over 2012 last Monday.
Big man getting the steal, getting up the court in transition, showing a little hops there.
And the shot falls 77-70. Hey, an odd number, wow. As we are coming up on 4 minutes left in this one, the winner will play either the 1961 squad or the 2020-2021 modern team.
Maybe a little Oshun versus Lanier.
I was going to ask you that after this here, as Dion Wright tightly guarded by Lanier. Shot doesn't fall. Denzel Gregg, though, with the putback. That was a big offensive board and putback for 2016, which have to recheck the stats, but in the first half, they actually had a slight rebounding advantage, so they've held their own. And a foul on Dion Wright. I believe that was away from the ball against Lanier.
Lanier pumped up after that foul call.
Of course, no three-point line in this one if you're just joining us, because we are playing 1970 rules, and this time Posley was stuck guarding Lanier, and he lays it in. 41 points for the Dauber, who the 1970 version of him is the highest-rated Bona Cup player.
When you're 6'11", you love those switches. He's getting a healthy dose of Adams and Posley inside. Huge mismatch.
Oh, and a strip by Matt Gant. He'll get it out to the Dauber, who lays it in, and the Dauber will not be denied tonight.
Dauber getting up the floor there, running. He's doing it all this half.
81-72. Mark Schmidt still not choosing to call a timeout. A give and go to Denzel Gregg, who I believe that's his first dunk of the night.
We've seen some nice tip-ins. Denzel being really active on the offensive glass. Finally got a chance to slam one home there.
Calbaugh in the lane. Oh, he's denied by Gregg, and that'll be gathered by Taki, trying to get out in transition. But Adams will set it up with 15 on the shot clock. Oh, he finds a lane wide open at the top of the key and drives it in for the layup. 20 points for Jay as the snub squad trails by 5, looking to pull off the big upset against the 70 Final Four team, but Gant gets it off the glass and in, and Coach Schmidt will call a timeout as they trail by 7.
Yeah, on that previous play with Adams down the lane, Lanier got caught on a switch on the perimeter, and then Denzel putting a nice screen on the Dauber, opening up the lane for Adams, but then right back Matt Gant with flying through there. Nice little layup there for Gant.
Lanier with nearly half of the points, 41 of the 83. What can Coach Schmidt do to stop the Dauber?
I don't know if I have an answer for that at this point. One thing I would do certainly.
Oh wow! What a surprise here! Bob Lanier is the player of the game.
I mean, I would start by putting someone bigger than 6'7" on him on those switches. Don't switch off and leave Adams or Posley down there against the Dauber. Give Denzel or Dion a shot to maybe get up and block, or at least foul him. Good free throw shooter though, so it's not really.
It's clearly been Coach Weesey's plan to get Lanier in some off-ball screen action to get those mismatches, and they just keep happening. 83-76 with 150 left. Oh, and the Dauber will pick up his third foul. Lanier had 2 in the first half and had a clean second half up until then, as Taki will go to the free throw line for 2.
I'd like to see that again. That looked like a clean block. Maybe got him with the body there, but Lanier swatted that off the backboard, and that ball bounced all the way to the other side of Butler Gym.
We had almost 2 fouls called on Lanier earlier on, and that may have been a little bit of a makeup call. And Taki, that's a big miss. They need every single point they can get, especially without 3-pointers.
Need to hit one here and get this to a 3-possession game. But how are you going to get stops with the Dauber playing like this?
Oh, another big miss and a foul on Dion Wright away from the rebound there. And that does not look good right now for 2016. Like we said, no 3-point shot, so it's a longer journey for them to make. Not exactly a good journey. Oh, Lanier is having a great journey tonight. 45 points for Big Bob Lanier.
20 of 28 from the field, outscoring the rest of his team.
Oh, a nice pass into Wright. 85-78, but they're going to need some stops to really make this a tighter affair. Dion Wright guarding Lanier very tightly. He'll drive into the lane. He's going to get doubled by Taki. Out to Hoffman. Lanier with the screen and the give. Oh, and there is a nice layup for the Dauber. 47 points for him tonight.
Tying Marcus Posley's total against St. Joe's in Rochester.
Dion Wright with a jumper trying to go back and forth with Bob Lanier. They can't trade any more baskets here. Down 7 without a 3-point shot. Gant now wide open into the lane, and the decoy of Bob Lanier finally on that play worked. They've been going to him every single time.
That's probably going to do it. You see Weesey emptying the bench.
Oh, but Jay Adams laying it in, making it 7 once again.
Phenomenal effort, though, by 2016. They got a really tough draw in this. They beat a great team in 2012.
Oh, the rare miss for Bob, but he gets it back and in. 49 points tonight for the Dauber.
Yeah, 2016 had Nicholson in 2012 and then Lanier in 1970, the toughest draw in the tournament. But they showed up and they played really well today.
After a 13-point early lead for the Final Four squad, they gave it up and trailed by 4 at the half. But after some back-and-forth second-half action, they pulled away, led by 49 points for Bob Lanier as they are heading to the Riley Center for the Bona Cup Final Four.
And they will face the winner of 1961 and 2021, who upset our 77 NIT champs in that 12-5 upset. And that's the last we'll see, unfortunately, of some of these guys from 2016 in the Bona Cup. But Adams will be back on Wednesday.
Last for Posley. And Wright, that'll be their last appearance here. As look at our stats, 48 points, only 22 rebounds for Lanier. It felt like he had 42.
Yeah. Could have put up a 40-30 game or a 50-30 game, I feel like.
But like we were talking about in the half, only 2 players scored in double figures for 1970 with 24 points, I believe, for Gant.
Yeah.
As even scoring for the 2016 squad, Adams with 22, Wright with 21, Posley with 16, Denzel Gregg with 10. Clearly, they were affected without a 3-point shot, as Jay Adams and Posley, nearly all their buckets were layups.
And they shot it really well. I mean, I think they were all over 50%. Posley, Adams, and Dion Wright combined for 59 points. Denzel adds 10. They played as good of a game as they could have. You feel like if there is a 3-point line, they could have absolutely beat this 1970 team if they could have shot this well. But the Dauber is just too much inside.
And of course, the Bonnies had the 2016 squad had a 2-point rebound advantage going into the half, but the 1970 squad ended up with a 6-point rebounding advantage. So they out-rebounded the snub squad by 8 in that half.
Not as many rebounds to go around when you're shooting this well either, but Lanier with 22 boards, and a lot of those on the offensive glass were just easy putbacks for 2 points.
Taking a look at the final stats also. 6 blocks for the 2016 squad, interestingly enough.
74 of 2016's 82 points were in the paint.
They both had 74 points.
Yeah. That was
That's
the
what
game
happened.
in 1970, man. Some mid-range, but you want to feed the bigs.
They had 3 shots that weren't in the paint because they had 2 points from the free throw line, 74 from the paint. So that means they made 3 shots outside of the paint for the 2016 squad.
And both teams made 40 field goals. So, I mean, the difference, 1970, 11 of 11 from the line, and 2016, only 2 of 7. So that 9-point difference right there is your total. That's your ball game right there at the line.
That would do it. And that will do it for our broadcast here of the 2020 Bona Cup second round. Be sure to check back in tomorrow night at 8 here on SB Unfurled's YouTube channel for the 1961 Sweet 16 squad taking on the Modern guys. Once again, the 2020-2021 team will take on the 61 squad with a shot at playing this 1970 Final Four team. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Bona Commenter, at SB Unfurled. Subscribe to SB Unfurled on YouTube to get all notifications about the rest of the Bona Cup games. Thank you so much for joining us.